Hello, it's Sean. Today we're going to be taking a look at the game Pocket Landship. I got a review copy of this game from Wordforge Press, and they've asked me to do a review, take a look at the game, and to see what I think. This game is going to be coming to Kickstarter here pretty quick. I believe it's at the end of March. Originally, this game was designed for a competition on Board Game Geek. The original game was set in World War I, and it was designed as a solo play game. For this edition of the game, they've changed the theme a little bit to more of a steampunk thing instead of having it set in World War I. They also plan to expand the components of the game from what was originally included. You can now play this as a one-player or a two-player game. And they also are including a campaign mode in the game that will link scenarios and give you a little bit of a challenge as you play through those scenarios. The game is designed by Scott Allen Czysz. Hopefully I'm saying that right. So the way the game works here is you have command of a landship and you're fighting a series of enemies that are attacking. Your landship is composed of a hull, a cannon, and a sponson or an infantry squad, which isn't really part of your landship, but you can swap out those sponsons for that infantry squad. Each of these has a set number of wounds that it can take before it's destroyed, and then each card also has results. So when we roll dice, whatever the result for the die is what the attack strength or the result for that turn is going to be. And that kind of works the same way with the enemy. We have landships, we have infantry. There's also artillery and things like tank traps. Each of them has a set number of wounds based on the card. You can see this has 3 wounds. It takes 3 points of damage to be destroyed. This takes 5, and this takes 4. There's a variety of different types of enemy landships that we'll be facing. Each one of them has different stats, and the results for what they're going to do are different on all the cards. We also have a commander that we can randomly choose, so they will give you a one-time benefit one time during the game. So if I choose Waldrum as my commander, one time during the game I can repair a player unit +3. So if my sponson is down to 1 and I play this card and use this action, I can boost it back up to 4. You can of course never go above your starting health on any stat. I believe these are drawn randomly. You pick which one you're going to get, and that's what you start the game with. The way the enemy works, you have the front row that is attacking each round. If I destroy one, it's removed from the game, and then that next column just steps forward. If I destroy all of these, then these are just going to come forward. So you're always fighting 3 in the front until you're down and you only have 3 left, or you have less than 3 left. But you'll always be fighting these and they'll get flipped over and you'll be engaging those. When you get down to only 3 enemy units left, or if you have only 2 components left, your hull and your cannon on your landship, then what's called the final battle begins. And at that point you can no longer heal and the enemy can no longer heal. So that takes away some of your tactical options. It's kind of the last ditch effort that you're faced with, and it becomes a real challenge when you're trying to fight them without being able to heal. One other thing that you get during the game, once you've destroyed 2 enemy landships, and they have to be landships, you get one of these cards. You draw 2 and you'll pick one of these to keep. And these are advantage cards, and they give you different bonuses that you can use during the game. So for this one, you get prowess. You can change any one die to any value. So that helps you when you've rolled your die and you don't like what you've got and you need to get a hit, you can adjust that die roll to be one of those things. Once you've used it, then it's discarded and you've got to destroy 2 more landships to be able to get a new card to use. So I'm just going to walk through a little bit of the turn, just kind of, you can see our landship will take the first action, and I rolled a 1, 2, and a 3. You can place these dice however you want, and you get to resolve them in whatever order you want. And so as we look here, a 1 on the landship is a hunker down, no damage to the hull next turn. That can be nice because it can protect your landship for a turn, so it can't take any damage. If we use that 1 on the cannon, it's armor piercing shell, and it does 1 damage to any frontline landship, so we can attack any of these that we want. If we put it on the sponson, then it's a jam, so there's no action. So you can see it's not necessarily rolling low or high is a good or bad thing. These are laid out in a different mix. So sometimes the 6 is good, sometimes the 6 is bad. Same thing for the enemy. If you roll high, it doesn't mean it's always going to be great for the enemy. It will be sometimes, but sometimes rolling a 3 is going to be great as well. So if I want to be able to do damage to that, all right, so the 2 here gives me ingenuity. It lets me adjust one other die up or down 1 pip. So I can turn this die into a 4 with that ability. So I've used that. Now this is a 4. Lets me attack the center front enemy. It does 2 damage if it's an infantry or artillery. It does 1 to a landship. So it's the center. I'm going to do 1 point of damage to that. And this, I have an armor piercing shell. It does 1 damage to any of my choice. And I'm going to go ahead and hit this thing. Now it's the enemy's turn. They're going to roll 1 die for each unit in the front. So they get a 4, 5, and 6. And these are placed lowest to highest across the front from left to right. So lowest to highest, left to right. And then they're resolved left to right. So this one is going to retreat and repair. What that means, this guy is going to move back. He doesn't have any damage on him, so he's not going to make a repair. But he does pull back and brings the next unit up. So now we have a Badger class landship. And that's his result. We rolled a 5 on the Stag class landship, and that is going to be a hit on the cannon and do 1 damage. So we reduce this to 3. And then we have a 6. We have a critical hit to the hull. So it's going to do 1 damage to the hull. It's our turn again. So we make our rolls. Got a 1 and a 4 and a 4. All right, so I'm going to resolve this first. I've got armor piercing shell, 1 damage to any frontline landship. I'm going to do the hit on the Stag class landship. Then I have a 4. Attack the center front enemy. 2 damage if infantry. 1 if a landship. So I'm going to do 1 more damage. So this guy's almost destroyed. And then I've got a 4 over here. And it's a repair hull. It gives me +2 health to the hull. Or I can do +1 to a sponson or cannon. So that's nice. It's an effective repair of the hull or a little bit less effective repair of these other items. I think I'm going to repair the hull and bring it back up to 5. Back to the enemies. We roll their dice, and we get a 1, 3, and a 6. And again, we just resolve them from left to right. So we've got 1 damage to the cannon. We've got the 3 here is 1 damage to the cannon. This is not good for me. Down to 1 here. And a 6 is 1 damage to the hull. I've got a 1, 1, and a 2. All right, I'm going to put the 2 on the ingenuity, 1 on the cannon, and a 1 on the sponson. So the ingenuity I'm going to do first lets me adjust another die up or down 1 pip. So I'm going to turn that to a 2. Got armor piercing shell. It's going to do 1 damage to any frontline landship. So I'm going to take and do this 1 point, and I'm going to destroy that. So that's 1 kill for me. These shift forward. We flip it over, and we've got tank traps. And the way these work, you can see this little timer here. It only has 1 point of damage, but it's got this timer. I can't attack a tank trap because it is not something that is going to be affected by my cannon fire. But each turn, at the end of the enemy turn after you roll the dice, it's going to lose a health. So essentially the tank trap gets 1 round to have an effect on me. I believe the mines have 2 dice, so it'll have 2 rounds. Next up we have the 2 here. And we're going to do a repair sponson. So I can either repair this for 2, but you can see it's already at full health, or I can repair the cannon or the hull for 1. So I'm going to do a point of healing on the cannon. And that brings me up to 2. It's the enemy turn again. A 2, 3, and a 6. So we've got to deploy right. What this is going to do is this guy is just going to shift to the right. So we're going to trade places, and that is his action. Come back and again continue resolving from left to right. This is a 3, so that's trapped. Does 2 damage to the hull. That hurts a lot. And then last we have a critical hit on the hull, so another 1 point of damage here. So you can see I'm pretty well beat up. That kind of gives you an idea of the mechanics of the game, how it works. You see it plays fairly quickly. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of decisions to be made for the enemy, so it's nice that you don't have to try and make a wise decision. It's telling you what to do each time. It is a tough game. The enemy they do attack fairly often, and when I've played this, the number of times that I've played it, it seems like the enemy tends to pull back and heal anytime they get pretty beat up. So of course, it's a die roll. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes that is just, I've got somebody down pretty low. Next thing you know, they're pulling back and retreating and healing up their ship. The way you win is you have to destroy all 9 of the enemy cards. To lose, if either your hull or your cannon is destroyed, you've lost the game. You can lose the sponson or infantry, and you can keep fighting. But if either of these are taken out, then you immediately lose the game. Another option that you have while playing is instead of rolling all 3 of your dice, you can choose to roll less to make repairs to your landship. So I have both of these sections that are pretty well beat up. So I can choose to only roll 1 die, and then the other 2 actions I'm going to spend healing. You can't put both healing into one place, so each of these can only be healed a single point for each die that you've chosen not to roll. But it does help me to repair the ship, and then I've got this 4 over here, and it lets me attack. It's kind of a little bit of pressure luck. How much damage am I willing to take before I try to heal myself versus continuing to attack? So at the end of the day, this is a light dice checking game. It's easy to learn, and it plays quickly. There's not a lot of depth to the game, but it's not trying to be something it isn't. It's just a straightforward, quick game. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes to play. There's a fair bit of randomness with the dice, but it doesn't seem unreasonable. And with it only being 15 minutes, even though there is a little bit of randomness to it, it's not that big of a deal because it's only about 15 minutes. This is going to be a game that I will back on Kickstarter. I'm excited for the campaign mode. It'll be fun to have a little bit of a story behind the battles that you're fighting. I think the artwork in this game is pretty neat. All of the enemy cards have the same backing right now, but it looks pretty cool. So if this looks like a game you might be interested, check it out. I'll put a link to the Kickstarter in the description below. I'll also link to this game on Board Game Geek, so you can check it out there. There is a print and play available of the original game and an expansion to it, so if you're interested in it, you can check it out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this and the other projects that I work on, you can subscribe to my channel. Be sure to click the bell so you get notifications when I post new videos. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. If you have any questions or comments about the game, I'll do my best to answer them. Just put them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.